weekly look at all of the hot topics in HR.
Whether it's passive talent or it's active talent.
That's a soft skill that really gets undersold in the hiring process.
How to manage in the virtual environment.
You get a diverse, cultured group of people. It's a win-win for everybody.
More conversion from candidate lead.
What does that look like in this new virtual world?
And we are live. Welcome, everyone to Talent Experience Live. Of course, your weekly look at the hot topics in HR, interviews with leaders in the industry, and of course, my favorite, HR technology, covering everything that you need to know in recruitment, talent acquisition, as well as talent management. But before we jump into today's topic, would love to hear where everyone is from, where you're tuning in from, maybe where you're eating lunch from. So hop into the comment and chat section and let us know. Remember, we are live here every single Thursday at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. if you're on the West Coast, and I believe 5 or 6 if you're in Europe. So enjoy your wine if you are over there following us. And also share this to your network. Today's topic is all around video. It is, I think, essential for everyone in every industry. So definitely feel free to share this to your network. As we begin to start to get some of those comments as where people are from, it looks like Angela is joining us from Philadelphia. Welcome. Samantha is joining us from New Jersey. We have Melina joining us from Chicago. Friend of the show, Tom Tate, joining us. I believe he's somewhere outside of Philadelphia. Who knows? And thank you all for joining us. Remember, if you're not able to catch the full episode, you can always find it on the Phenom blog. We do a blog recap every single week, or if blogs aren't really your thing, you can always check us out on YouTube. But while you're there, remember to like and subscribe. And like I said, always feel free to share. Today's topic is video everywhere, crafting user-generated content to connect with talent. It is nearly impossible to escape video today unless you lock yourself in a room, turn off the lights, and leave all of your technology in the other one. And whether you're conducting remote interviews or recording employee stories and culture content, being on camera is now an expectation. I know that firsthand because I am here every single Thursday on camera. By defining and optimizing your video strategy, you can give your company a distinct advantage as you compete for best fit talents. And like I said, we are here. Feel free to chime into the comment section. We have somebody joining us from Tel Aviv. Oud, thank you for chiming in the comment section. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to fire them off into the chat as well. Today, I'm going to start with the first question, and this is for the audience at home. AMC has been in the news lately. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I want to start off with, what is your favorite movie time snack? Mine is popcorn. And since we're talking about video, feel free to grab your popcorn right now and enjoy the show. But I'd love to hear what you like. I know that Joel chimed in a little bit earlier, said his were Raisinets, which I'm a big fan of as well. And Shane also said that his were M&Ms and he likes to dump them into the popcorn. I'm not sure if that's illegal, but he definitely should be arrested for saying that live. Anyway, carrying on. We also now have an email here at the Talent Experience Show. It is txl@phenompeople.com. So if you have any questions that come to you after the show, or in a week, maybe 2 weeks, feel free to send over your questions and comments there. We will always be happy to reach out if you have any suggestions about the show. But as I mentioned earlier, today's topic is all around video everywhere. And we have a very special guest, is Yair Leshem, VP Platform Sales at Kaltura, a leading video platform company and trusted partner of Phenom. Lance says red licorice as well for his favorite movie time snack. So I've never had red licorice in that setting, but I may have to try it next time. As you continue to trickle in with what you are like, Yair is going to share with us how video has transformed over the past years and ideas to create more engaging video in 2021, as well as ways to leverage employees and candidates to contribute user-generated content. We are super excited to have him on, and without any further hesitation, let's bring on Yair. Yair, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hey, Devin. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I am doing very well. And before we jump into the meat and potatoes of today, nobody gets out of dodging the icebreaker question. So, favorite movie time snack?
I'll have to say it's popcorn and Coke. I mean, the combination of sweet and salty in the theater, it's a must, I guess.
The Coca-Cola in a movie theater setting, it just hits different. It's different than the Coke you buy from your 7-Eleven or your corner store. It is fantastic. So Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I'm excited about today's topic. However, before we jump into that, could you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today? I did a bit of a LinkedIn deep dive myself, and I saw that you previously were an author. So did you transition to video because print is officially dead, or how did you end up at Kaltura and working with video so frequently?
Yeah, so print is not dead, but I have a challenge with my kids trying to push them to read books and get off of YouTube every once in a while. But I've been doing or around video in the past decade in Kaltura. Started my way as a product manager, building products, and then kind of gradually transitioned to be more business development, sales, and working with customers, taking the wonderful products and kind of giving it to them, implementing it together with them.
And Tom Tate chimes in the chat, long live print. You heard it here first. It's not dead. Go pick up a local newspaper, read a book, a hardcover, and nothing will replace that feeling of flipping through pages.
Exactly.
But yeah, you mentioned that you started off with Kaltura, creating product and managing product. What is Kaltura known for in your market, since you had firsthand experience developing it?
So actually, one of our slogans is just like what you presented, everything video, or video everywhere. We are a video cloud company. We have a video platform. We build products around video in different markets, for learning, for education, for corporates, for entertainment. We provide video technology. We're not doing any video content. We're not producers. We're not creating content. We leave that to our, different customers. We provide them the tools to create, store, deliver, share, publish content wherever they need it.
We always preach at Phenom and also on the show that so many employees have undiscovered talent, and I love to hear that you don't necessarily produce the videos or direct them. You just give them the tools to be successful. So if you have a gig or something like that open, you could find the next Steven Spielberg within your organization producing content for you, and it sounds like Kaltura can help do that. Yair, for my next question, I'm going to take you back to a time. It seems like ages and ages ago, almost like that intro in Star Wars, but it's a time called 2019, which almost feels fictional at this point. But obviously video has changed in 2020. Prior to that, back in 2019, what were some of the most popular pre-pandemic use cases for video?
Yeah, so video is not new. Definitely, it's not like a new technology that we discovered all of a sudden. So I would say that all of the different use cases were there, and video was there. We were seeing it in learning in its different forms. Training and certifications and testing, sales and marketing, healthcare. Healthcare, I said commerce. So all the different entertainment, obviously. So all the different use cases were there in the past decade or even more. What the pandemic did is just it created a spike, right? In if not all of them, at least a couple of them. So a spike in demand, a spike in usage. But the different use cases were there, were established. Some more than others, but we definitely saw it.
No, and I completely understand that there's so many avenues for it, even sales, as well as some of the other things to showcase your not only product, but also your company culture and things like that. Now, a big question that always comes up when we discuss user-generated content is quality, right? I know there's a ton of stats around people expect video quality to look like something that's on television or a Netflix premiered show. How high quality is user-generated video produced, and then is there a quality standard? Is there something where you see it and say, we should use this, we shouldn't use that?
Yeah, so I think if we were doing this 10 years ago, you were asking me that question 10 years ago. So the challenges that we were facing were definitely different than what they are today. Quality, for example, was a big question, right? It was a big challenge. How can we deliver video in a good quality to a bunch of people, a lot of people? How can we do it? That was the challenge. Now it's no longer a question. Right, so we have our mobile phones. Look at what we're doing right now. You are delivering this interview chat as a state-of-the-art, almost production grade, almost like you do in TV. And a couple of guys doing it from their own apartment. It's not a big deal. So quality is definitely improved. It's definitely being something that it's now in our pockets, in our laptops, in our offices. You don't need to invest in it. And with that, people expectations are to see something that is good quality. And I think we will probably talk about it more, but it's not the quality anymore that is coming from the technology, but it's the content itself, right? It's on me and you to make this an interesting, discussion. It's the content and the content inside the technology. The technology is just the wrapper around it, but we need to make this interesting, so it will be more attracting than other videos that people can choose to see.
Absolutely. And a question comes in the chat from Jen that says, is using a mobile phone good enough to put on a website? And I think a big aspect of this question is when the pandemic hit in March, we saw, our favorite television talk shows and things like that. They immediately switched to everyone being in their home, and the quality dropped. It has slowly upticked. These big corporations are able to buy fancy camera equipment. But for organizations that are looking to hire talent and may not have that budget for their career site and wanting to remain topical and also conscious of the situation, they don't want to have video of hundreds of people gathered together in a celebration without masks. That rubs people the wrong way right now. So in order to have current content, is leveraging something as simple as your cell phone good enough for that sort of platform?
Definitely yes. Again, I will answer it from two aspects. The first one is the technology. So yes, from a technology perspective, the mobile phone, definitely the advanced ones will generate a good enough quality, not just good enough, a superior quality video that you can put and use anywhere in different use cases, for marketing as well. There's a great commercial right now running, I think, by Apple, kind of giving examples of how using an iPhone you can actually shoot, film grade videos. From the other aspect, not the technology, I would say that people are and that's something that the pandemic caused, are looking for authenticity. So in many cases, you don't want to hide the fact that you're using, your mobile phone to take the video. You actually want to take advantage of it, right? So if now I'm doing a video blog and I'm talking to my audience, maybe I want to do it in the street while I'm taking my daily walk, right? So that's more authentic. I'm talking, I'm not sitting in front of a teleprompter. I'm talking, I'm saying what's in my head. It's from my mobile phone. So that give it this authenticity that people are looking for today.
Now, I completely agree, and I love that real aspect of it, that kind of raw feeling of this is not highly polished. It has some level of polish, but you are getting really the true feel of a company culture versus something that was scripted out and they brought in a production company. This is for the employees by the employees, almost, exactly, if you will. Now, as we're all kind of the protagonists throughout this pandemic, right? Once it hits, I'm sure that you immediately saw changes in what customers were trying to solve for. What would some of those be? I know I mentioned one a little bit earlier about large gatherings and groups, but were some of your clients sending out messages around social injustices or around what they were doing to help with the pandemic or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think that the big change that we saw obviously was across the board, but several use cases or industries were kind of immediately had to change themselves. So probably one first thing was the meetings, right? Virtual meetings. Again, it was there before, but think about it, in a matter of weeks, days in some cases, you had to switch completely to go virtual. So everything went online. So meetings inside the company, outside the company, with customers, with partners, with your colleagues, everything had to go immediately to virtual. Classes, universities, colleges, training, coaching, everything had to go from something that was face-to-face going to online and virtual. And another huge industry that was kind of impacted was events. So conferences, meetups, everything that was going and happening physically face-to-face, now they had to rethink their entire business, the entire use case, and go virtual. So us and all these things that I mentioned, kind of the meetings, the classes, the events are now that they need to go virtual, are video based because they're interaction, they're talking to people, meeting people, creating this communication interaction. So definitely as someone that is dealing with video and video technology, they came to us and they had to quickly search for solutions for these use cases.
No, absolutely. It's almost like everyone's backs were against the wall, and the only way that you can go when your back is against the wall is forward. So I'm sure that being in that situation, you talked about other organizations, but I'm sure Kaltura was in that as well. And oftentimes when individuals or organizations are up against the wall, it unlocks keys to innovation. Is there any innovation that Kaltura did and they saw when they were working with individuals using this video platform?
Yeah, so I can tell you, and we are talking about HR, so I can tell you and give you examples that our HR really kind of stepped up and used video in order to create. And I'm not from the HR department, right? So I'm in this case I'm their customer. I'm one of the employees in the company, so I'm talking as from an experience of an employee. So they started to change the culture from a very face-to-face, office-oriented culture to something that has to be online and video. And obviously, we have the tools and we have the culture around video. So they really leveraged video to do that. So a lot of video communications, executives, other people across the organization, not necessarily employees, just recording themselves, sharing more things, even in our Facebook group, right? Our closed Kalturian Facebook group. So sharing more about their life, their cooking, a little bit more around that, but also formal formal activities, corporate messaging, executives sharing their thoughts, HR were doing some employee appreciation gestures and activities. So they were going with a camera when they went and meet some people at their home and took video of it and share with everyone. So the culture that was very much office based, and people were remote, but now everyone is remote, had to change, and we definitely took advantage of video to change that.
I think that's such an important thought, because so many organizations look at culture as what their office environment is, right? And then you really take a step away when the office is removed from work. Culture is all about the employees and them as individuals, right? And who they are, not just between the hours of 9 to 5, but who they are when they go home and meet with their families or hang out with other coworkers outside of work. All of that comes into culture, and that what you're saying is video is a great way to showcase that. Now, we talked a little bit about the quality of video changing and individuals understanding it based on the circumstances. But have we changed our perception on what makes a good video overall? Have we just, decided that it needs to be under the 90-second mark, or it needs to be, in a particular color scheme, or have fancy graphics? Has that changed over the past year, or has it kind of stayed the same?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because on one hand, technology changed, and we talked about it, the past kind of challenges versus today's challenges. On the other hand, we changed as people, right? I look at my kids, 12 years old, 10 years old, they're completely different than what I was. So, for example, attention span shrunk, right? We want something very short, very interesting. We have so many inputs, from the TV to the iPad to the iPhone to the whatever that is. So we change. We're looking for some. So you're right. I mean, it's got to be something short. It's got to be something interesting, and it's got to be something relevant for me. So somehow, I mean, I need to the world around me, the technology around me needs to understand me and cater the what I'm interested in. And I don't really care how this world or technology figure that out, obviously without too much spying on me and still keeping my privacy. So we changed as people, technology changed as well. I'll give you, I'm all about analogies. I like to look at video today as almost like a stack of pancakes. It's a multi-layer content type, right? So video is not just 30 frames per second. So moving images and audio. It's more than that, right? So these are just two layers. But what about captions that you add on the video? It's part of the video, right? And once you have captions, for example, you can start watching videos in mute, like you see in different platforms. So that's another layer. Adding buttons on top of the video, right? Like call to actions in commerce, even in HR. If I want to create my CV and I do it on video, why not add a button that says see my document CV if you click here? So that's another layer. If you want to add questions, to pause the video and pop up a question when you learn or you train someone and you teach someone for a test, to create that engagement and interest. That's another layer. So video is becoming multi-layer content type. It's not just the old video that we think of, and that, again, together with taking all into the account the changes that we experience as humans. So that's the new video. That's what you need to think about when you create a new video.
And I love that sentiment around relevance, right? And we kind of talked a little bit earlier about quality and things like that. But when you mentioned, your children on YouTube and watching things on their iPad or whatever it may be, I'm familiar with a number of YouTube channels. The quality typically isn't through the roof. However, it is relevant to me and it keeps me engaged. They'll throw, cheesy memes on there, whatever it may be, real over the top, zoom cuts into people's faces and things like that. And even though it's not high quality, it's engaging and it's relevant. So when we fast forward to current day and the focus on talent acquisition, how can organizations really focus or make their content relevant to the multiple stages of a candidate and employee? So whether it be somebody who's getting ready to upload their CV or resume, or even a video for an employee, how should those really be different?
Yeah. And with your permission, I'll even take it broader a bit, not just the recruitment. So I'll go like hire to retire or the entire HCM, because video, you can, and we see it there. And again, it's not something new. It's not something from the past couple of months. It's something that has been there. I think that many organizations as well as HR tech company are rethinking about things and maybe are speeding up their digital transformation process that was natural for and planned for 3 years. Now they're thinking about how to do it in 3 months. It started at the beginning, right? So promoting your brand or promoting your position. Maybe get out of the old kind of template of this is the position. We have a very structured, structure to how a position description should look, and this is the company description, this is a position description, and this is the requirements, and so on. And we need to go and be authentic. So why not put the face of the recruiter or the manager explaining that role, right? Putting a face, putting a person there. And it also kind of ties to the culture of the company, because think about it. Now we don't have any more these check out our ping pong room or this is the snacks that we provide in our kitchen. We don't have that anymore. It's not the main focus. We're kind of taking it down to the bare bones of the company, what the company is, and the company is the people. So put the people in front, and if I'm recruiting, I want to be there maybe in my face explaining what the position is. Then moving forward, video interviews. Two forms of video interviews that we're seeing. One is real-time, so real-time interview, and the other one is kind of pre-recorded or offline, sending questions, having the candidate need to speak to them, to answer, put himself or herself in front of the camera and speak about or answer the questions. And moving on, onboarding, training, all that much more effective when you do it through video. When you compare different types of content, documents, articles, audio, presentation, it is proven that video, again, in the right form, in the right bite-size learning, it's much more effective than other forms of content. And video biographies is another thing. Culture, meeting the people. We don't have that kitchen conversation, corridor conversation, event, company event. So video bios, I'm introducing myself as a new employee or a veteran employee. I'm introducing myself to everyone. I'm recording myself. And performance reviews. Performance reviews is part of the hire to retire. It's part of the life cycle of an employee in the company. You want them to happen. And more than that, you don't just want them to happen like we're doing here. Let's say we're doing a performance review on any type of product. You don't just want it to be there, but you want to store them. And maybe you want other people to review them as well. And you want to make it actionable. So the video itself, it's not just what's happening right now in the interview or the performance review, but it has a life cycle afterwards. So all these examples that I gave are things that we have been seeing, we are seeing now more than ever, and I think that they're super relevant to the way that the workplace has changed in the past year.
There certainly is an evolution, and for those of you just joining, we are with Yair Leshem of Kaltura talking about video everywhere. And Yair, one thing that you had definitely mentioned there, and I think it really stood out to me, was the fact that all of those situations were very personal. Whether it be a yearly review, whether it be the interview process, and I remember from my previous, interviewing days, if they feel like years ago at this point, but just a few short months ago, one big aspect is always shadowing. I always used to see, individuals shadowing sales representatives or shadowing a customer service or something along those lines. And with everyone working remotely, it's almost impossible to do that, to have somebody, shadow a sales call or something like that. So when we fast forward to today and video being everywhere, providing a recording of what a day in the life may look like, what are some of the highs and lows, and being able to be transparent and show the company's people. I saw that Phenom chimed in. The company is the people. It really helps narrow the focus on what video content to cover. But moving on to the next question that I had, which was, the career site is oftentimes the portal for a candidate to see what a company is all about. And they used to be littered with stock photos and stock videos and things like that. And obviously there is a very limited amount of stock videos of an office environment of COVID or in COVID, or even, just the company culture in COVID. And somebody, I think, who may not even be familiar with the organization can point out, like, I know that isn't actually happening. That isn't actually their office. So are you seeing a lot of, companies showcase their company culture by showing their at-home workspaces, by showing what their guilty pleasure or snack is from their own refrigerator versus what's on the snack wall? Are those sorts of things, number one, being used, and are they effective?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, what we're doing here is a very good example, right? We're taking advantage of the situation. You are taking advantage of the situation, and you are doing this. And I think it also kind of, it allows a lot of people to be more authentic, as we said, to a lot of the fear that they had to be in front of the camera, to let go of that fear. And now they have to be in front of the camera, and they have to share a little bit more of themselves, of their home, and of their environment, of the way that they work right now. Think about managers. I mean, managers need now to manage their teams, even their teams that were, right a few miles from them, and they were meeting at the office every day. Now they need to manage them from afar and online. So they gotta be more in front of the camera, in real time, sending some different messages. So we definitely see that. And like I said, like what we're seeing here, we're seeing a lot more of video blogs, or people sharing their thoughts online, and the companies are taking advantage of it. Now they need to embrace it, because that's what they have. As we said, they don't necessarily have this fancy corporate event, and other stuff. We are in sales kickoff seasons, right? So sales kickoffs are now virtual, and for that, people need to stand in front of a camera and do what they were doing face to face or standing on stage. Now they have to do it on camera, and they will take it from sales kickoff to the rest of the year as well. So that's a very good example of what we are seeing. The fear is being kind of removed slowly, and people standing in front of the camera more and more.
Certainly, I think Everyone is in front of a camera at least one point during the day, whether they like it or not now, which introduces a really heavy topic, to say the least. Does video introduce bias in any way, shape, or form? Should candidates or even managers, like you mentioned, use blurred backgrounds, or should they be up against a white backdrop? Does bandwidth and really the internet capability go into effect if you're hiring someone who is externally facing in the organization? If they're doing video sales calls and they have what looks like just a empty laundromat behind them full of dirty clothes, like my other room does. What kind of bias does video introduce, and how can we avoid those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's obviously a fair question and a good question, a question that we discuss and we hear a lot in the HR space. I'll get a bit philosophical with you, with your permission. So I think that the technology itself is not good or bad. You can't say that technology is good or that technology is bad. I think that technology can be used for bad or inappropriate or things that we want to avoid, but it can also be used for great stuff. So I think that for the bias example, yes, I mean, putting people now in front of a camera in a recruitment process instead of just written CV that kind of takes the face of the person, of the candidate, take it away and kind of hides it, can create some sort of bias. But I'll give you the flip side of it. It can create a lot of good. So instead of one person that's sitting and interviewing that candidate, since you took this online and you're doing a virtual video recruitment process, now 10 people can actually see that person. So if you're creating the right process around it, again, since if just one person is interviewing it, that one person can do a lot of harm. But if this person now has a lot of checks and balances like other 10 people, because you kind of democratize the process of interviewing because it's online all of a sudden, this can be the checks and balances. So the technology is not good or bad. It's the process that you create and the way that you harness it. So I think that these are fair questions. It's an equation. You gotta have more good than bad, and you need to build it the right way.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think of technology, all the power is in the end user, right? So preparing your recruitment teams to let candidates know that this next interview will be a video interview, that we will have a select few people on there for them. In the same sense where if you were bringing someone in 2019 in person, you'd let them know that it was in person. You let them know that it was a business casual or a business professional environment so that they didn't come in over or underdressed. And I think the same thing needs to be done with video. It just requires a bit more heavy lifting from you as the organization to set clear expectations for the candidates going in, and say, hey, we're going to be interviewing you. There's no need to put a shirt and tie on, but the CEO will be on, so maybe put a suit jacket on or whatever it may be, and just preparing them for that expectation. So Yair, we've talked about the fictional time of 2019. We've talked about the current time of 2020, 2021, if you will. But let's talk about the future. What does video look like in the future, and what excites you personally the most? And what challenges do you foresee, maybe in the next 6 months or even, 12, 18 months?
I think the challenge is and will be dealing with enormous amounts of content. So video is all around. We talked about this. We know it, same as that it is in our day-to-day life. It will be and is in our workspace. HR, sales, marketing, learning, whatever, and wherever. So we will be more and more bombarded, if you will, with video. So the challenge would be how we take what's relevant and give it to the employee, to the customer, to the partner, to the vendor, as content, exactly what they need. And I that's on us, right? You as an HR tech company, us as a video tech company, but that's on us to make sure that these enormous amounts of videos that we will create in the ATS, in the video recruitment, in wherever that is, and I'm giving HR tech examples, how can a recruiter now deal with 1,000 videos a month, right? How can they deal with it? So we need to find the ways to with AI and all the fancy words and technology and big data and all that, how we can make sure that the recruiter, for example, will get the right person, the snippet of video that they need that says this is a good candidate, or maybe this is not a good candidate, because here is a 1 minute video that shows you that this is not a good candidate. So it will be volume and catering the right video to the right person.
You raise an excellent point there about the idea of recruiters perhaps being overwhelmed with video, right? And I think back to my days as a recruiter, where oftentimes I'm ashamed to admit this, but you skim through resumes, you look through exactly what you're looking for, and with video that's a bit tougher, right? You could jump back and forth. So as technology advances, and hopefully we find algorithms that'll help really streamline this for recruiters, the opposite side of that is, what do candidates do to really make their videos stand out? And as a personal question for me, what do I do with video to make this show stand out? Are there any, parallels between the two, and how can you really set yourself up for success?
Yeah. I'll start philosophical as well. Again, what separates us as humans from animals is that we think, right? We think and we have ideas. So I think that in this case, it's not about creating something. You don't need to invent anything new, but you need to have an idea, a unique idea, let's put it this way, to a video that you can create. I'll give another example and another analogy. My kids love to play Legos. So the building blocks are there, right? They don't need to invent a new Lego piece. It's not about that, but it's about taking 5 or 10 Lego pieces and building something that they'll go and then come and show me and say, whoa, this is super cool. The thing that you built, right? So they don't need to invent a new Lego piece, but just putting them together. So technology is there. You have the tool, right? We're using this tool to create this show, but once you come up with innovative ideas that you can use the tools for and the content, that's the new thing. I'll go back to my example about CVs. Don't send a written CV. Send yourself talking about yourself, and that's a video CV. So that stands out, right? And once everyone will do that, you'll need to use the tools that you have as a candidate and show the next thing. I'll give another example. We have something, one of our products, not selling anything, one of our products, actually, Netflix has been playing around with it, is branched video, right? Choose your own path. The video is starting. Again, you can see it in Netflix. The video is starting, it stops, and it asks you, what do you want to do next? Option A, option B. And you click option A, and the video continues. So once everyone will do video CVs, if you want to stand out, do your choose your own experience video as a CV, right? So the building blocks are there. You just need to come up with the idea of how to build them and how to use them in order to create this engaging and standing out content.
I love that. And the choose your own adventure Netflix thing is something that I think is awesome because it creates a personal experience for everyone with it. And as a candidate or even a recruiter, you want personal experiences throughout the process. So I love that sentiment of the future. I'll share a story with one of my colleagues who we here at Phenom do a video process for our interview where we require somebody to say which core value they represent and how to do so. And a colleague of mine dressed up as George Washington, I think, for curiosity. And it was something that immediately I thought, this man is an absolute crazy person. But then I watched the rest of it and his children were involved in the whole nine. And I was like, this is fantastic. It really showcases personality. It shows, that they're a team player. They're willing to step outside of the box versus just saying, I'm a responsible individual because, I pay all my bills on time. So having that opportunity to really showcase your personality through video is something that will never happen, no matter how many different fonts you use on your resume, or no matter how many, different color schemes or images you put on a CV as well. Yair, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for joining. I love the comparison between video and pancakes. You get a little philosophical. You threw a little philosophy at us as well.
That's good.
It's kind of fun. But before we go, any final thoughts and anything? I know you said you didn't want to sell. Anything you'd like to sell with this last little bit?
Pancakes, popcorn. No, I mean, lose the fear. We're all in front of a camera. Video is all around us. It is in the workspace. It will be in the workspace forever. And bringing ideas. That's it.
Awesome. Yair, thank you so much. Hopefully,
thank you for having me.
Normal, and we can bring you into the office and showcase our wonderful studio that we worked on. But I had a blast. I wish you nothing but the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Awesome. Well, there you have it. That was Yair Leshem from Kaltura talking about video everywhere. I think another great episode in the books here for TXL. But before we go, you're already here on our website, whether it be LinkedIn or whether it be YouTube. Don't forget to link, subscribe, share, do the whole thing. I could do my whole YouTube bit, but I won't. Instead, I will talk to you a little bit about last week's episode in case you missed it. It was all around how to avoid becoming a corporate catfish and build an authentic brand. And this is all about the reintegration into the workforce with remote employees as well as local employees. So I could talk about it a bit more or just air the clip. So
The last thing I'll say that I think is important from an inclusion perspective for organizations that are sort of returning to work in 2021 is this idea of being really mindful of the need to integrate and reintegrate people. There are people that I know at Phenom, we've hired people who have never set foot in our office. They've spent an entire year talking to other people and getting to know the organization, but they've never met face to face. It's kind of like online dating, talking online, and then you have to meet in person for the first time, and you're hoping it goes well, and that you're not being catfished. Hence, part of the name of this show. I think organizations should really reflect on what that's going to look like and what that's going to mean. How do we reintegrate people who used to work together but haven't spoken for over a year? How do we integrate those new folks who weren't ever, face to face and don't understand the dynamics of working in an office with all of these people? And how does all of that sort of create an inclusive space?
Definitely check out last week's episode for more around corporate catfishing. That does it for today's episode. Special thank you to everyone who chimed into the chat. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Oud. Thank you, Melina. Thank you, Lance. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Phenom people. That's a weird name. Thank you, Nohar. This has been awesome, awesome, awesome. Can't wait to see you next week. But in the meantime, everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week.